What's up guys, welcome back to another video. I'm really excited for this one. I got myself a coastal off-road gas tank skid plate for my third generation 4runner. Now if you don't know what Coastal Off-Road is, they are a company that makes vehicle armor, and they come in pieces that you weld together, which is also where my front bumper is from, which I have a video on, so check it out if you'd like. This is what the skid plate looks like. As I mentioned, it comes in pieces and I'm just gonna weld it all up, and obviously it's brand new because it's never been welded. Now I was never actually planning on buying this skid plate. What happened was I was scrolling through Facebook Marketplace like I always do, and I found this skid plate for half the price of what I would have paid if I ordered it from Coastal Off-Road directly. So I thought it would be stupid for me not to buy it because it's just too good of a deal to pass up. At least that's what I told myself. So I ended up buying it, and it was kind of perfect timing because, as some of you may know, I just finished lifting my 4runner, or lifting it more I should say. And with the lift now, my drive shaft actually sometimes rubs on my gas tank skid plate, and it makes a horrendous sound. Now, it's not that big of a deal. It's a common thing for lifted 4runners, but this skid plate, the Coastal Off-Road one, is actually designed with that in mind. So let's take a look and see what it says. So it says right here, this skid plate is contoured to closely fit your gas tank, providing excellent ground clearance, drive shaft clearance, and excellent undercarriage protection from boulders and other trail debris. This plate has been engineered for maximum impact strength, so you can drive your Toyota through the roughest terrain with confidence. All right, so without further ado, let's get started on this thing. I've already got it all labeled, as you can see here. That's what the instruction says to do right here. And then when we're all done, that's kind of what it should look like. And these numbers actually represent the steps of how you should weld it. So basically, you would take number 1 and 2, weld that together, and then so on. So I'm just gonna follow the instructions and get this thing welded up. All right, so I got piece number 1 and number 2 tacked together. This is piece number 3. I just have my pliers kind of holding it up because it's on an angle. I don't know if you can tell from the camera, but anyway, so I'm gonna tack this number 3 here, this one, to this number 2. Also gonna put a couple tacks right here on number 1 and number 3. Alright, so we have our number 1, 2, and 3 all tacked up. Next it says from 4 to 11, we're just going to go in order and just tack them all up. So let's do that. Alright, so the instructions now say to put this under the vehicle and probably use a jack to just get it in place and then start welding all the mounts. Alright guys, sorry I wasn't able to film everything while it was under the truck, but basically I put the skid plate under there. I used the jack to get it in place, and then I just marked out where these mounts need to go, and then I just tacked it in place. So far, my honest opinion on this skid plate is I don't actually really love it for 2 reasons. Okay, first reason, when you put this in place, the skid plate is literally against the gas tank, like it's touching the gas tank metal to metal, which to me it's not great. Because first of all, I feel like if I'm going over some rocks, for example, and let's say I drop and I hit a rock, like on the skid plate, all that upwards pressure is also going to be on the gas tank because this thing is like right tight against the skid plate. So I don't know. I don't think that's a great design personally. And then also because it's touching the gas tank, I feel like if I'm driving on any kind of gravel or anything, because of that metal to metal contact, I think it's going to make noise. It's probably going to squeak. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I don't have high hopes for it. Second reason why I don't like it is one of the mounts actually. This piece right here goes somewhere over here. I'll actually show you once we get it installed on the truck. But that mount doesn't reach where it needs to actually get bolted up. Okay, so let's get this thing installed and I'll show you what I mean. All right, guys, so this is what I was talking about here. So if you see this plate here, okay, that the instructions say to bolt this on, just like the way I have it. And then this piece is supposed to get welded on right here, okay? Now, if you notice, you see the gap right there between the two? So this thing should be up here, but it's actually, when you put it on the skid plate, you end up with a big, like a 1/4 inch gap. So I could probably weld that somehow, but definitely not ideal. So that's what I was talking about there. That mount doesn't actually reach, so you end up with a 1/4 inch gap that I have to somehow weld. And I know I'm not the only one, because I actually watched another guy on YouTube weld this exact same bumper, and he had the same issue. He couldn't reach that last mount. So what he ended up doing is he took just some extra metal and welded on where that gap is, just to make that work. And then the two rear mounts that I managed to weld on, the other guy that I was talking about on YouTube, he actually did the same on those. He welded an extra little piece there just to make it reach better. And with the way he did it, he probably ended up having a little bit of a gap between the skid plate and the gas tank. Whereas for me, I had to like force it all the way up to make those rear mounts work. But now, as I mentioned, the skid plate is like right up against the gas tank. So I don't know, I don't really love it. So I'm gonna get this last mount welded on somehow. I'll see, I'll just make it work somehow. And then once it's all done, I'll see. I don't know if I'm gonna actually use it. I might put my factory one back on and just sell this. We'll see what happens. All right, guys, so the skid plate is totally done. I finished all the welding and everything. All that's left to do is I'm gonna actually get it powder coated. So I'm gonna take it to a shop and get that done. And then I still haven't decided if I'm gonna keep it or if I'm gonna sell it. We'll see what happens. I'll get it powder coated first, and then I'll just kind of decide from there. If you are interested in one of these skid plates, I will leave the link in the description below. So check it out. I know I mentioned that I don't personally love it, but don't get me wrong, it is nice, it looks good, and it seems like a pretty strong skid plate. I just had a couple concerns about it. As far as the welding process, I'm gonna be completely honest, I'm a total beginner at welding. I have almost zero experience with welding, and I was able to get this thing done. It took me 2 days. I could have actually done it in 1 day, but I just kind of got lazy. But yeah, 2 days, and I'm a complete beginner. So if it is something you're considering doing and you've never welded before, it's totally doable. I was able to do it, so I'm sure you can do it as well. But that's about it for this video, guys. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, maybe even consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.